Everyone trusted him. He waved every morning, helped fix broken fences, watched neighbors' houses when they were away. No one ever suspected the quiet man next door. But behind closed curtains, he was living a completely different life. This is the true crime story of how the most trusted neighbor hid the darkest secret on the street.
Part 1. Everyone trusted him. Everyone on Maple Street knew Thomas Hale. Or at least, they thought they did. He was the kind of neighbor people felt lucky to have. Quiet, polite, dependable. The man who waved every morning, who brought packages inside when someone wasn't home, who shoveled snow without being asked. Thomas had lived there for nearly 8 years, long enough to become part of the street's rhythm. Long enough for no one to question him. He worked a steady job as a maintenance supervisor at a local office complex, left the house every weekday at the same time, returned every evening just before sunset. Predictable, reliable. On weekends, he kept to himself. No loud parties, no visitors, just a man tending his small garden or sitting on his porch with a book. Parents trusted him. They let their kids cut across his lawn. Elderly neighbors trusted him too. He fixed broken lights, carried groceries, and never asked for anything in return. He's one of the good ones, you people said. No one ever locked their doors because of Thomas Hale, and that was the first mistake. Part 2. 2 different lives. What the neighbors saw was one version of Thomas, but there was another version they never noticed. Every night at exactly 10:30 p.m., Thomas turned off the lights in his living room. From the outside, his house went dark, silent, empty, but Thomas was very much awake. Behind drawn curtains, he moved with purpose. His calm demeanor vanished. His posture changed. His eyes sharpened. He kept meticulous records in a locked drawer beneath his desk. Dates, times, names, observations. Not memories, logs. Thomas didn't socialize because he didn't want to be known too well. He listened more than he spoke. He memorized habits, routines. He knew when lights went out on Maple Street. He knew who lived alone. He knew which doors squeaked. And most importantly, he knew how invisible he was. Because people trust quiet men. Part 3. The first strange detail. The first thing that felt wrong happened on a Tuesday in early spring. Margaret Collins lived 3 houses down from Thomas. She was 72 and had lived on Maple Street longer than anyone else. That morning, Margaret noticed her back gate was open. She was certain she had locked it the night before. At first, she blamed herself. Memory plays tricks at that age, she thought. But then it happened again and again. Small things began to surface on the street. Packages left in strange places. Motion lights triggered for no reason. Dogs barking at empty yards. Nothing serious. Nothing worth calling the police over. But people talked. Someone joked that Maple Street had a ghost. Thomas smiled when he heard that. Part 4. What no one wanted to see. 6 months later, a young woman named Rachel Monroe moved into the neighborhood. She was friendly, outgoing, and new to town. Recently divorced, living alone. Thomas noticed her immediately. He offered to help carry boxes, fixed a loose step on her porch, explained which neighbors to avoid during trash day. Rachel trusted him instantly. Everyone did. She mentioned once that she felt watched sometimes, that the street felt too quiet at night. Thomas laughed softly. "That's just small-town life," he said. 2 weeks later, Rachel disappeared. Her car was still parked outside her house. Her phone was inside. No signs of forced entry. Police questioned neighbors. Everyone said the same thing. We didn't see anything. We heard nothing. It's always so quiet here. And Thomas Hale sat calmly on his porch, watching patrol cars pass by. Waiting. Part 5. The mask begins to slip. Rachel Monroe's disappearance changed Maple Street. Not overnight, not dramatically, but subtly. Police patrols became routine. Neighbors started locking their doors again. The street no longer felt safe, just quiet. Thomas Hale adjusted perfectly. He volunteered information when officers asked. He described Rachel as kind but distant. He said he hadn't noticed anything unusual. And that was the problem, because Thomas noticed everything. Detective Aaron Miles was assigned to the case after the initial search produced nothing. He had worked missing persons cases before, and he knew the pattern. Most disappearances weren't loud. They were quiet, personal, close. Aaron walked Maple Street slowly, watching faces, listening to tone, noticing who spoke too much and who spoke too little. Thomas Hale stood out, not because he was suspicious, but because he was too calm. When Aaron asked how well he knew Rachel, Thomas smiled politely. "Just neighbor stuff," he said. "I helped her fix a step once." No emotion, no curiosity, no fear. Aaron wrote Thomas's name down, just in case. Part 6. The Hidden Past. A background check on Thomas Hale revealed nothing criminal. No arrests, no restraining orders, no complaints. But Detective Miles had learned long ago, the past doesn't disappear, it hides. Thomas hadn't always been Thomas Hale. 10 years earlier, he had lived under a different name in another state. A legal name change, clean paperwork. That alone wasn't a crime, but it was unusual. Aaron requested records from the previous town. What came back was thin, too thin. A short employment history, few social connections, no long-term residence. Thomas moved frequently, never stayed anywhere longer than 8 years. Always left quietly. Then Aaron found something else. A missing persons report. A woman, same age as Rachel, same living situation, same disappearance pattern, different town, different year, same silence. Part 7. The moment everything collapsed, police returned to Thomas's house with a warrant. Thomas didn't resist, didn't panic, didn't ask why. Inside his home, everything looked normal. Too normal. But in the basement, hidden behind a false wall, investigators found a locked cabinet. Inside were notebooks, logs, dates, addresses, observations, names. Rachel Monroe was the most recent entry. So was Margaret Collins, and 3 other women from other towns. Thomas had been watching, recording, waiting. When confronted, Thomas finally spoke. Not with anger, not with guilt, but with disappointment. "They trusted me," he said quietly. "I never forced anyone." The mask was gone, and what stood beneath it was something far more terrifying than anger. Control. Part 8. The Truth Next Door. Thomas Hale confessed later that night. He described his actions calmly, methodically, as if explaining a routine. He had lived beside his victims, helped them, earned their trust, because monsters don't break in anymore. They knock. Rachel Monroe's remains were found weeks later in a wooded area, 2 hours from Maple Street. Margaret Collins was saved. Police reached her before Thomas did. Maple Street never returned to normal. People moved away. Houses were sold. Trust disappeared. Neighbors who once waved now avoided eye contact. And the lesson stayed with everyone who lived there. Final message. The most dangerous people are rarely loud. They don't look threatening. They don't stand out. They blend in. They wave. They help. They listen. And sometimes, they live right next door. Everyone trusted him, and that's how he got away with it.